Hi everybody, today we're looking at romantic poetry, and for the first day we're looking at Epiphany poems. So let's get right into it. The American Romantic period starts in about 1800. You could say it goes back into the late 1700s. It goes right up until 1900 and maybe a little bit into the 20th century. Um, the big events that sort of mark stopping points or pauses or interruptions to the Romantic period are the American Civil War, 1861 to 65. In America, this had the effect of making people rethink this romantic worldview. The other one is World War I, starting in 1914, which really kills off Romanticism. Well, what is it about war that kills off Romanticism? In the Romantic period, you had certain tendencies. One of the ideas was the Romantics saw a world that was slowly, at that time, they thought very quickly, becoming industrialized. They saw factories going up. They saw people moving from the country to the city. They saw people changing their lives in a way that they thought were probably not very constructive. There's an article in Schmoop that will explain more of this. But anyway, the Romantics tended to be inspired by nature. They were all about getting away from the city, getting back to nature. And the reason for this was this concept of pantheism. The idea, the Romantic idea, was that God could be found anywhere, particularly in nature. So if we go to nature, we can find God. God is in nature. Therefore, if we get closer to nature, we discover God. Um, the other place that we can also find God is inside one's own heart. By looking inward, we can also get in touch with God. Then it makes sense that this movement was connected or committed to individualism. Individual people are important. Individual emotions are important. What we think, what we feel matters. And so the romantic tendencies are towards paying attention to the individual, getting in contact with God by looking inward or looking outward into nature. Finally, there's this belief that what we feel in our heart is a key to knowledge and truth. That the heart is perhaps even more important than the head. All of these things contribute to this sense of romanticism. So we're going to have a few examples of romantic poems today and in our next lesson. One more thing, whenever we see romantic poems, it's very, very, very common that there's a lot of symbolism happening. The poems that we're going to look at are all highly metaphorical. All right, so today's word is epiphany. There's a religious meaning to epiphany, the manifestation of Christ to the Gentiles as presented by the Magi. In other words, when Christmas came, we celebrate the feast of the three kings. That's called Epiphany. 12 days after Jesus is born, wise men come from far away to present gifts because they recognize that this is an important person, that this is actually God incarnate. So this understanding of something incredibly significant is referred to as an epiphany. And in the Romantic poets, we're going to see that we have epiphanies that result not from seeing God incarnate in a literal way, but in this case, in seeing God or our own souls reflected in nature. So, here's a link to today's poems. There are 3 Epiphany poems here, 2 A Waterfowl, A Noiseless Patient Spider, and The Chambered Nautilus. So I'm going to stop right there, and you can visit these poems pretty soon. Thanks for watching.